Welcome back and Happy New Year once again. Today, our very first show for 2020. We're now jumping into our next segment where we want to talk about healthy swaps to save your New Year resolutions. This, of course, is that time of year. A lot of us, we've bangaed. We know we've been bad. We've been really bad over the holidays. The nyama choma, the kukus, the chapos, the cakes, the everything yummy and sweet. And now maybe that guilt is beginning to trickle in as we think about our resolutions and how we want to be maybe a little bit more healthier in the year. Irene Juru is here. She's a nutritionist and she's going to be walking us through some of the alternatives that we can look forward to. So karibu sana to the show.
Asante sana.
So a lot of us certainly will have goals, for the year. Physical goals, emotional, spiritual, financial, whatever it is. But this one for food, diet, it tends to be so hard to stick to.
True.
Like usually by end of January, February, March, people are, we've maybe fallen off the wagon a few times. 41% of us, in fact, make goals to stick to New Year resolutions, but only 8% actually follow through with them. So when it comes to being healthy, how can one make this like something that they actually stick to so that they don't, just fall into the 92% who don't actually follow through?
I'll start by saying people make it like a step-to-step thing I need to do other than making it a choice. When you choose to do something, you have to focus on it. You create time because you've made a choice. Mm-hmm. I've chosen this year I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to eat well. As regards to following steps, where everybody is saying, okay, they have already said you cannot eat meat, you cannot eat this, you cannot do this, and it's not in you. You've not chosen that I'm going to have a healthy living. Mm-hmm. So as we start 2020, the first thing we need to do is to make a choice. If you've made a choice that I'm going to live healthy, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to choose my meals. Choosing of meals starts from the individual levels. Mm-hmm. Then we move to the household where you have to decide, okay, my husband needs to eat well. I need to eat well. I have kids that I need to withdraw from the snack bet of December, and everybody was like, oh, I need chicken, I need this, I need nyama choma and all. And as we move to make our resolutions, we need to make that choice of it's going to be a whole year thing, not a timely thing. Like we have so many people who want to have lost weight in 7 days, 9 days, and we have to get all these chemicals and wash off the way that we really accumulated knowingly. Yeah. So it has to be a process. It has to be a choice. It's more of a lifestyle. Yeah, it's more of a lifestyle as compared to a one-time hit. Right. Like when you decide something, it takes the brain like 21 days to adapt to the new system. Okay. And then it becomes a habit.
So how do we make it that lifestyle? Like what would you recommend as first steps?
First step is to choose what you want to eat. Okay. Weight gain basically comes rounded from the carbohydrates we take. Most of us will choose chips. You'll go to a hotel and you're like, okay, give me chips, and show it's chips masala. Besides it, have some small portion of rice, and we feel that this is really what we want. Mm-hmm. And the body does not really want that. Mm-hmm. The body, on the contrary, needs the different approach, less of carbohydrates, more of proteins. We have vegetables, which most of us have decided I'm going to get sick if I'm really going to concentrate on skuma wikis and all. Yeah. So we really need to pick our plates. We need to pick on the food we're eating.
So the major culprits here are carbohydrates.
Sure.
What about sugar?
The sugars are also something that you need to work on. When we eat carbohydrates in the body, they are converted into sugars and then stored as fats. So we start by addressing the carbohydrates you're taking in. Then we come to the sugar levels that we have. I talked about making it a habit. Mm-hmm. Like you could decide I've been taking 3 spoons of sugar and my tea has to have 3. And that's it. And then you make a choice and decide, okay, really, we are fighting on diabetes, we are fighting on hypertension, and I really need to choose for my body what I need to have. Yeah. And then it's going to be a process, not like you wake up and say, today I'm not going to take tea with sugar,
so
help me God.
So you could start with like this week, instead of doing 3, I'm going to do 2.5.
Yes.
Next week, 2 spoons, and you knock it down that
Yes, way. And then you decide, what am I going to, because you have to have a replacement. Most of the people, they don't know how to do with, I'm doing away with it, so what next? Somebody will ask you, okay, I'm doing away with sugar, what next? Yeah. And then you have to think on what are we replacing sugar with? Mm-hmm. We want to be more natural in our feeding. Like you could use honey instead of sugar. Like you would choose butter instead of margarine. Or maybe somebody will say, I love avocados. I do love avocados. So I'll just take a slice of bread, I'm going to paste it so well, and I'm going to enjoy this space. We need to make that choice.
Okay.
So we are going to reduce the sugars that are added, and we are going to have the natural sugars as compared to just taking in anything that we choose. Yes.
Okay. And then when you were talking about proteins, you're saying we need to sort of reduce on the carbs, but you still need carbohydrates, right?
And that's why you're saying minimum.
Minimum.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not cutting them out entirely.
No.
Okay.
You need them.
Yeah.
So we are going the minimum.
Okay.
Or what we do in the nutrition setup, we have moved from having a general view of what you need to eat to an individual kind of view.
Okay.
Like we have people going to clinics because they are sick. I'm sick today, I need to go to the clinic. But there's no time we are having people going to check on their nutritional status, going technically to check on the lifestyle diseases. Am I exposed to it? Am I moving to that direction?
Yeah.
So we need to have that individual thing. That's why we have more of individual counseling when you come to nutrition as compared to a health education where I would say, okay, we have mothers here, you need to eat this and all that.
Well, that's an interesting point you raise, because you're right. I don't think many of us actually visit a nutritionist just to even just get an assessment. Like, this is what I tend to typically eat. What do you think about it? Is it good? Is it bad? And a nutritionist might be able to say, okay, you can continue eating it, but maybe swap this for this.
Sure.
Okay, so maybe that should be a New Year's resolution, right?
To pay a visit to a nutritionist and understand your body, because we have different body structures.
It's true.
Yes, when we do the body mass index, we look at it individually, because everybody has a body mass index that you can have according to your height, according to your age. All these factors come in when you're doing individual counseling. So we will start by assessing you before we can decide now, okay, you can eat all the chips that you want, or you don't have to eat a single spoon of this, So we need to move towards that direction in 2020. Let's see what can we draw from the nutritionist. We have been drawing everything from the pharmacies, from the doctors and everything. We need to see how do we move to the preventive bit, where we have a nutritionist teaching me on how do I prevent diabetes too by eating healthy.
Very important. Okay. So for those ones who, now you talked about families and really trying to, I guess it's self-defeating if you say, me, I'm on a diet, but then your families who go with, nyamachoma and crisps and everything. How do you get your family to convert, like, so that it is a whole lifestyle change for the entire family? Of course, there's a part you have to play as the mom, because you're the one who does the grocery shopping, so it's not buying like the snacks. But how do you get your family to come on board?
I would start by asking a question. What in a family would you pick from a refrigerator? We have kids coming in, we have yogurt, we have sausages, we have skuma wiki here,
those
and we have
packeted juices.
So where do we start? We start by trying to withdraw what is not important to our families, by having the right shopping. That I'm going to the market, I'm going to a supermarket. I could choose to pick nyama, red meat, but on the contrary, I've decided to pick chicken. I've decided to pick fish. Nobody in the family will come and say, okay, I'm on hunger strike because I've not seen goat meat in this house. But you can't do it in shift. You're saying it's a process. It's something that everybody else needs to understand. It's for their good. So we need to start by, it's my family. I know what is right.
I've understood.
Yes, I'm doing this for you. And also the kids need to be exposed to it. Because if you open a fridge and all you can get is a tomato, you're not going to say, okay, I'll be hungry for the next few minutes. No, you can pick it, wash it, and have a bite, which is better than walking in and getting leftovers of nyama choma that was there for 3 days ago. So we need to put it at the display. It's like going to a restaurant and you find people eating. Unajua kuna wale nasemanga nipe kama ya yule, because you really don't even know the name, but it looks attractive. We need also to make our meals in the family attractive to the people who are having it. Nipatie kama ya yule. So we need to have that exposure even in the family level, that this food is made like this and I need that. I don't
Very
need this.
interesting too, because again, this is where the alternatives come in. So it's not just about like removing what they've been enjoying. What are you replacing it with?
Yes.
Right? Like you need to provide an option so
Sure.
that watu wasikute tu friji imekauka iko
Hakuna
kavu,
kitu.
hamna kitu humo ndani. All right, very important as well.
Yes.
And so then, is it very expensive then to live healthy? Because sometimes we're told, oh, sijui dairy is bad, we should be taking sijui almond and rice milk, and then unaenda sokoni unaona kwa
Maisha
supermarket
imekuwa
bei.
ngumu.
Hey, maisha imekuwa ngumu. Is there an affordable way to do this?
Let's start by moving to the 4 agendas of this country, led by the president. One of the key things he's trying to work on is food security. And ensuring that we have all the food that we need, the correct kind of food. It's not expensive. I'll put it to you. We have chips, which everybody wants to eat as chips. Nobody wants to eat it as mashed potatoes because there was no mafuta put on it and added salt and all that. But if we are not going to eat chips in the house and we made some nice mashed potatoes, it's the same thing. It's giving us the same thing but with a different taste. But what are we eating these chips with? A sausage. But nobody will come and say, okay, we are having chips and sukuma wiki and that. But you get the same, actually less amount of viazi yenye unatumia kutengeneza chips, hautatumia kutengeneza mashed. So it's cheaper living healthy and expensive trying to control lifestyle diseases. If you ask me, it might look expensive now that somebody is asking, you need to eat oats at this point in time because we need you to change on the weight. It might look expensive, but it will be more expensive being in Nairobi hospital, somebody trying to help you use drugs to get rid of the weight. So we need to say, is it before or after that we want to spend more?
Okay. All right. So maybe you can give us then your final advice for 2020, for this brand new year, as far as health, nutrition, overall.
I think for 2020, I'll say malnutrition is a danger, but nutrition is celebration. And I would say we need to eat healthy. Let's reduce on the sugars, on the added salts. Let's look forward to eating more of vegetables as compared to just picking the junks and moving with it. Let's save our times and create time, even as you go maybe to take an elderly or a child to the hospital. Let's create time and talk to a nutritionist. Let's understand like really what is it all about nutrition. In 2020, let's see nutritionist as our preventive package as compared to people who are just there to tell us about food. We are preventing the end results. So I think 2020 is the way to live healthy. It's the year to decide to choose to live healthy.
To choose to live healthy. All right. A challenge there from Irene Juro, our nutritionist here, challenging us for 2020. Hey, yo lazima tupitie nutritionist. At least angalia ujue tu. And they might save you a whole lot of trouble, as she said. And maybe, it's not going to be that grandiose. Pole pole tu, towards a healthier lifestyle. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show. I do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, coming up next, we're going to talk about powerhouse suits for important business meetings. This has to be the year you score those deals. And so we want to make sure that you go in there looking the part. That's coming up next on Full Circle with Joyce. Stay tuned.